Like, the judge made some stupid, inappropriate joke about how I'm sure you'd love to leave the detention center, Mr. Combs. And inappropriate in tone and comment in substance.
Megyn Kelly didn't just rage, she detonated. The moment Diddy walked out of that courtroom grinning, with the jury letting him off on sex trafficking and racketeering charges, Megyn knew something was off. The prayers, the smirks, the judge throwing around lighthearted banter like it was a reality show finale. According to her, it wasn't justice. It was theater. And not the good kind. It was so bizarre, so polished, so cozy between the defense and the bench. She's convinced this verdict didn't come clean. And Megyn had one word for it: disgusting. In fact, she's saying the quiet part out loud. Did Diddy bribe his way to freedom? Let's find out. Now, we all know how Megyn operates, right? Right out of the gate on her show, she let the fury fly. Her voice was sharp and controlled, but you could feel the heat simmering underneath every word. She zeroed in on the judge, not just for the ruling, but for the tone he set the moment the verdict was read. The courtroom, she said, didn't feel like a place where justice had just been served. It felt like a reunion between old friends, especially because of the way Diddy reacted. According to Megyn, the judge smiling as Diddy clasped his hands in prayer wasn't a moment of grace, it was a red flag.
He was allowed by this court to get down on his knees in the middle of the courtroom and pray to God, thank God. He's a God-fearing man. He's super faithful. In between beatings of the girlfriends he's with, he loves to beat them to a fucking pulp and then pray to his Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That's how it works.
The light jokes about the Brooklyn jail? Another one. The casual back and forth with Diddy's defense team? A whole checkered flag waving in plain sight. In her view, the judge's demeanor reeked of familiarity. Too much familiarity, like the decision had already been baked in, long before the jury ever reached a consensus. And to her, that's not just inappropriate, that's suspicious. Megyn said this was the exact attitude you'd expect from someone who just got away with serious crimes. And she said it with the clarity of someone who had seen one too many powerful men escape consequences. And don't even get started with how people in the courtroom reacted. For Megyn, it was shocking to see how the judge allowed such behavior inside the courtroom. Of course, unless he was paid, right?
The judge is allowing that kind of thing in the court.
Yeah, I'm surprised about that also.
Yeah, what's that about?
Or maybe the judge is all that. There's no place in the courtroom for this because, look, regardless of whether or not you agree or disagree with the verdict, there's a certain dignity and decorum that's only that's appropriate for courtrooms. And in federal courts, judges are famous for enforcing it, oftentimes much more so than at the state level.
And from her perspective, this wasn't about legal nuance. It was about a man who, in her view, committed nasty things and walked out facing only a few years behind bars at most. She reminded her audience that the statute of limitations for battery in Los Angeles is just 1 year. And since the alleged footage of Diddy dragging Cassie back into that hotel room was bought and buried with the help of his security team, prosecutors couldn't charge him for it anymore. That meant, no matter how compelling the evidence was, he couldn't be touched. And to Megyn, that wasn't just a legal technicality. It was obstruction. She questioned why the case of Capricorn Clark was the only incident framed as kidnapping when she firmly believed the hotel incident with Cassie should have been treated the same way. She went ahead and walked her viewers through what she called an obvious pattern of violence, manipulation, and threats, and asked why those acts weren't enough for a racketeering conviction. And oh, the names she called Diddy are straight up savage.
Oh, it's all just so chummy inside the courtroom for this disgusting pervert female abuser who I can't believe is about to roam our streets again. I'm sorry, I'm disgusted by this verdict. This is ridiculous. I just find it absolutely outrageous, the amount of crime that this guy just got away with. I believe he committed arson. He definitely battered Cassie. He battered Jane too. The statute of limitations for battery in Los Angeles, California is 1 year. 1 year.
Not to mention how she brought up how Cassie had emailed her own mother saying Diddy was threatening to bomb Kid Cudi's car. Then 2 weeks later, it got blown up. To her, that wasn't a coincidence. That was cause and effect. She even said she believes Diddy broke into Kid Cudi's home, smashed open gifts under the Christmas tree, and left clear threats behind. And still, nothing stuck. What really made Megyn's blood boil were the details of how Diddy allegedly used male escorts as part of a sick game, flying them in, forcing his girlfriends to participate in sex acts under threat of violence, and reacting with fury if they hesitated. She highlighted the testimony of Daniel Phillip, a male escort who said he heard Diddy beating Cassie behind closed doors while she screamed apologies through sobs. When she came out, shaking and terrified, she collapsed in Phillip's lap, unable to speak. Megyn was haunted by that imagery and infuriated that it wasn't enough to sway the jury. She admitted that the defense presented some persuasive text messages from Cassie, where she had said she enjoyed the freak-offs or had expressed enthusiasm at the time. But Megyn argued that trauma survivors often mask their pain, and a few flirty texts don't erase years of alleged abuse. In her eyes, the defense manipulated the idea of agency, convincing the jury that Cassie and Jane were in those situations voluntarily, despite the bruises, the screams, and the threats. And while the jury might have accepted that explanation, Megyn said it didn't sit right. She called it a stunning failure of justice. Her outrage turned into sheer disbelief when she saw the reactions outside the courtroom, too. She described the circus unfolding on the sidewalk. Diddy's fans jumping, dancing, and one woman in a bright blue wig pouring baby oil all over herself in front of the cameras. Megyn's voice was sharp with sarcasm as she described it, saying this is what prosecutors were up against, a media spectacle complete with near-naked celebrations, turning what should have been a solemn moment of accountability into a block party.
As his supporters are outside, actually we have a shot cut of it. There's one woman. People are chanting around her. It's not Rico, it's Freako. And here's the woman. Let's watch it and I'll explain what we're seeing.
I don't know what she's gonna do, y'all.
She's jumping with very large breasts and spraying baby oil on herself and others. She's wearing a bright blue wig. She took the wig off. She's wearing next to nothing. She's shaking her breasts and pouring baby oil on herself.
She rolled her eyes at Diddy's theatrics, too. How he brought a Bible into the courtroom every day, as if that somehow proved he was reformed. She mocked the idea that a man still paying for Jane's apartment during a federal investigation could be taken seriously as someone repentant or godly. In her words, the whole thing felt staged, and the courtroom bought it. Then came the moment when Diddy's team argued that he should be released pending sentencing, and for a second, it looked like he really believed he'd be walking free. He even asked to speak to the judge directly, but that request was denied, and the judge ultimately ruled that he would stay behind bars until his October sentencing date. According to Megyn, the confidence drained from his face in that moment. The man who had just pumped his fist at the jury now looked stunned, like reality had finally punched back. But Megyn wasn't celebrating. Not yet. She was deeply frustrated by what she saw as a media attempt to frame this as some kind of redemption arc. Online chatter suggesting Diddy could have a second act sent her over the edge. She said America might be a forgiving country, but this should not be forgivable. She reminded her viewers that Cassie is still traumatized, still battling mental health issues, and that Jane is still tied financially to the man she testified against. This wasn't closure, it was damage control. To her, Diddy is a man who beats women to feel powerful, who uses fear and coercion like tools, and who thinks his fame will protect him from consequences. And she said that's exactly what happened. Still, she hasn't given up. She declared that if no one else would hold Diddy accountable, she would. She said she would make it her personal mission to keep his name tied to humiliation, not fame. No awards, no comebacks, no image rehab campaigns would be enough to make her forget what she believes he did. As sentencing looms on October 2nd, Megyn said the only real justice left is whether the judge gives him the maximum sentence, though she admitted she doubts that will happen. Still, she urged her listeners to stay vigilant, stay loud, and never let this moment fade into a media spin story. Because to her, this wasn't just a trial, it was a test. And America failed. If you want the full breakdown, you can check out episode 1100 of The Megyn Kelly Show. But one thing's clear, Megyn's not letting this one go, and she's daring the justice system to prove it's not for sale. But what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments and stick around for more.